Okay, so we're on part two of Optimized Profitability. We're talking about marketing specifically. I'm here with Lenny Richardson over there. He's a marketing guy, and I'm a marketing guy, so we're going to kind of talk shop. Our focus, though, is a three-step formula for getting clients. Everyone wants to know how to get clients, especially in 2020 when everybody's getting more online and less going into stores. So, Lenny, let's just start off. What is the basics of the three-step formula?
So the basic three-step formula, it's very straightforward, but a lot of people, to this day, do not implement it. And I think it just goes over a lot of people's head, which makes sense. Essentially, first step is just have a good lead magnet / offer. So what you want to do is just have sort of, some people call it a bribe. I like to call it a gift. A gift you give to people for free. And it sort of, as the name describes, it draws them in, it attracts them, it magnetizes them in. And once they sort of sign up for it, the most common way is usually through email if you're doing digital marketing. In real estate, when real estate agents, for anyone that doesn't know, we do a lot of open houses. I had a lead magnet. It was a physical, a lot of agents kind of do newsletters. I had a book, a small book you can keep in your pocket. And in exchange for the book, they gave me their address, phone number, so I can call and follow up with them. But for digital marketing, keep it simple. It's usually an email address. And then once you get the email address and once they get their gift, assuming that they're satisfied and that the lead magnet is good, the email goes into a database. It's also commonly referred to as CRM. We personally use Zoho. There's a ton of CRMs. There's HubSpot. There's a lot of them. Some are free, some are paid. I have heard of some people that very meticulously take every single email and name and put them into an Excel sheet. I do not know how they do it. It seems to work well for them. I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't need to be super complicated. It just needs to be some place where you can basically access every single name and way to contact them. And it helps if you sort of know where they came from. If you're running multiple campaigns with different lead magnets, you want to know where they came from. You want to know which lead magnet worked the best. But to keep it straightforward and simple for now, once they are in the database, the next thing to do is follow up. A lot of businesses, a lot of salespeople, a lot of marketers, I think we sort of expect our product to be so good or our service to be so good and for the offer to be so appealing that once we put it out there, people will flock to us. And at least in my experience, that's not the case. Back when I did College Conqueror, I sort of had the, if I build it, they will come mentality. I put the website out there and in your head, you're thinking, oh, I can't wait for tomorrow for everyone to be at my website. And no one comes to the website and you don't know why. So following up is, in my opinion, essential. I think even if you have the best offer, the best lead magnet, there's always going to be an objection. There's always going to be hesitation. It'd have to be a super perfect offer or super perfect lead magnet to get someone to just want your service or product immediately. So I would say the follow-up is key.
So let's break it down. The three-step process, a lead magnet, give them something, give them a reason to connect with you. Then have a way to follow up with them, and then continue to connect with them on email marketing. Correct? That's your three-step process?
Yes.
In a nutshell. And all these people go around and talk about sales funnels, but in essence, that's what a sales funnel is.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same concept. It's more or less the same. But I think I think if you're new at it, sales funnel sounds very complicated.
Exactly.
That's why I say, like, this is the simplified version. Different businesses might make it way more complicated because they have to, or because they want to sell 50 things. Maybe, a smaller business might just have one or two core products, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, essentially a sales funnel.
And so a funnel, let's kind of break that down just so everybody is on the same page. A funnel is just a sequence. That's all a funnel is. They use sales funnel. People try to sell you a sales funnel. or sales funnel system to try to make you think everything's complicated. But as long as you understand the customer journeys, where they're going, 1, 2, 3, customers got to enter somewhere to get to know you. So where do they get to know you? They get to know you on what he's calling a lead magnet. It's something that pulls your leads in. It's something that's valuable to your lead. So talk about a lead magnet. What do you do to build a lead magnet? And what are some tips you can give somebody who's never even heard of a lead magnet? Some tips for them.
So sort of what I mentioned in the previous video, you really just got to narrow down to first your target audience and dissect exactly what they want. I don't think I mentioned it in the last video, but it's, to me at least, it's really important to know who your audience is. I think a lot of people sometimes try to cast a wide net, and they're looking for anyone that's willing to buy. And this, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. I think the only problem is when you go to market, you won't be able to really get the right people. For example, if you're a personal trainer and you want to make a lead magnet, you kind of need to figure out first, who's your ideal client? Do you want to train millennials? Do you want to train people who might be 37 to like 50? Do you want to train people who are 70 and 80? All three categories are going to be very different. People in their 70s and 80s might want to work out just to feel healthy, to feel energetic or whatever. Millennials might want to just look good just because they're trying to date. It's two different, you're going to have to pitch them in two drastically different ways. And then you might have someone who's in their 40s or 50s. They might be married, so they're not looking necessarily to feel, they could be, but not necessarily looking to go to the bar and hook up and to have a six-pack to do that. They might just want to be healthy because they have kids, and maybe they feel like they come home from work, they might be exhausted, they can't keep up with their kids. So you really have to narrow down first to who you're trying to target. And then from there, and this copy kind of gets involved in this,
yeah.
But when it comes to the lead magnet itself, the value you're bringing is based on who you're targeting. So again, with the fitness example, let's say you're a millennial. Your target audience is males from the age of 21 to 24. Let's just say they're in college or they're just graduating college. You want a lead magnet. You want to figure out what they want. Let's just say in this example, they want, if they're a heterosexual male, they want girls. They want to meet and attract women. You want to sort of have a lead magnet that says something, and this is a very general example, top 5 ways to burn, top 10 ways to get abs fast. It's a very...
Okay, well, I'm gonna try you. I'm gonna stop you on this one now.
Yeah.
Do they want abs? No. They want girls.
Yeah.
So your headline would be the top 5 ways to get girls to turn their head.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably, I just kind of gave a general.
Yeah, no, I know. I told you I'm gonna push you a little bit on this because we're marketing together, you know. But when somebody comes up with a lead magnet, there's too many people, they just try to do this blanket broad thing.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying, they've got to really target into those. What millennials can do to turn girls' heads. You know, what a 70-year-old man can do right now this week to turn heads.
Yes,
attention or whatever, you know, just really tie it in and really just tune into that. Because the more tuned in you are to your customers, the more that lead magnet is going to attract them. So when you build a lead magnet, you start with the headline or do you start with something else?
It kind of depends. With the real estate book, I kind of started with the headline.
Okay.
And the real estate book was so straightforward. It's just, don't buy a house until you read this.
Yeah.
And the reason why is when I would survey people, they were just like, I want to buy a house. And my target audience was specifically, I say this carefully because there are fair housing laws. So this is not meant to be discriminatory, but in my mind, at least, the people I was targeting most was sort of millennials, people who just have not purchased a house ever and who had no idea what they were looking for. And a lot of them would simply say, I want to buy a house. I just don't know where to start. And I go on different websites and they're suggesting A, other websites suggesting B, an influencer is saying to do something completely different. This blog or podcast is giving me drastically different advice. So my thing was, if you're going to buy a house, don't do it until you read this book. And it's so, to me at least, maybe in my mind I was being clever, but it's so straightforward that it doesn't require much thought. It gets right to the point. It kind of, in a little sense, scares them. It's like, whoa, don't buy a house until I read what's in this book. I wonder what's in this book now.
Curiosity.
Yeah, so for that I start with the headline. I don't know if I'd start with the headline for every lead magnet. I think it kind of just depends, at least for me, what I'm trying to offer, if that makes sense. I know I like looking at different lead magnets. One in particular I like, there's some people who are dating coaches now, and they do, what was it? It was quarantine text scripts. And yeah, but the title, I forget the exact title that they use. It's not that great, but they usually kind of start with the pitch. It's like, hey, people are in quarantine right now. You're trying to still date, but you can't go out and meet girls. Here's this text script I have. And they kind of just say exactly what it is. But I sense for a typical 20-something-year-old male, it's probably all you need to draw them in. So I guess to answer your question, I would say it depends. That was kind of a long-winded answer.
One of the things I do when I'm working with someone, when they're building a lead magnet, is I ask them, what are the top 10 questions people ask you on a regular basis? That gives you a foundation to start working from, because if they're asking it all the time already, why not pre-sell or pre-answer those questions? And if you can't come up with them, you can go search your competition, maybe not in your area. So if I'm in Dallas, I'm not going to search people in Dallas because I don't want to copy something, but understanding what other people are communicating. So I might go to a website in Chicago or New York or somewhere else and see what their FAQs are. So if I'm a real estate agent, what are the FAQs on that real estate agent page? And how can that feed into, because those are questions people are already asking. They already tell you what the questions are, and so you can build a lead magnet based on FAQs. Everybody can come up with, if you've been in business more than a year, you can come up with 10 to 20 questions that you get asked every time somebody talks.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And then go from those 10 tips, 10, 7, 8, 5, whatever number you come up with, and then build that off and come into your headline, and then make it catchy. So once you got that outline, what do you do to make it pretty enough? Make it seem more valuable, I guess you should say.
Yeah, I mean, once I figure out what they want, it's I'm trying to think of the best way to answer this. I like ebooks a lot, just because usually the people I'm targeting, they don't mind reading, but they just don't want to read a lot. And I try to make the ebook essentially answer the core of what their questions are. You don't want to make it too long, because then it's off-putting, at least in my opinion. But it needs to have enough value so that they remember you, they remember the brand. Yeah, so I kind of just get into the details of what they want.
You created an ebook, so you said you edit something on Canva, make it pretty up. If somebody has to do it themselves, hopefully they got enough money, they're going to come with somebody, they're going to consult with someone, they have a really strong, firm version of it, and we can make it look like it's a book, make it look fancy and all that stuff. But if somebody's just like on a bootstrap budget and there's like, I don't know what to do you suggest Canvas for something like that, or should they just stick to like a basic Word document or Google Doc, that kind of thing?
I would say if they're on a tight budget, and if say they're not super creative as far as designing something, I've seen Word documents work perfectly, or I guess more so PDFs, save it as a PDF. But I've seen that work just as well. I think it'll depend from industry to industry. Maybe if you're a lawyer, for example, in a certain type of field, you might want to have some presentation to it. You don't want to just have straight text. But like I said, say it's someone who's doing dating, if your target's someone who's 21 years old, they're probably not going to care too much about how it looks. It could probably be very basic font, size 10 font, single spaced. And as long as they feel as though it's valuable, I don't think they'll care. So it goes to figuring out who your audience is. You kind of want to tailor to your audience. But if all else fails and you want to put something out, I would suggest Microsoft Word, Google Docs, type something up. There's actually a gym owner, or he used to be a gym owner. I follow him on YouTube. This guy, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Alex Hormozy. He has a pretty interesting lead magnet for gym owners, and his is just a hand. It's just he just drew. I don't know if he personally drew it, but someone drew it. It's hand drawn infographics, and it looks like he scanned it, put it in a PDF, and that's his lead magnet. And it works well because it's so different, and it's legible, so you can actually read it. It has pictures, so you can kind of understand it better. It's short, which is nice, but it stands out enough too. Like, I remember it because no one else has a hand-drawn lead magnet. I've actually never seen that before besides him. So
yeah, so it's a branding thing. He's taking his brand and making it unique. It doesn't have to be perfect. We talked about this on a previous episode. Just get out there and get it out there. So find something that relates to your audience. Create something valuable or something seemingly valuable to them. And something I've always been told, answer the question they're asking. So give them what they want, but sell them what they need.
Yes.
Sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can get that through your head, understanding that lead magnet is a simple process. I have my FAQ, my top 10 question. And I'm going to title it something that's curiosity-based. Go search online, what's the best headline? And just get a list of 20 of them, read through them, and copy one of them. It'll say, the top 7 ways to do this in 7 days or something to that effect. Real simple. That's your lead magnet. So you got your lead magnet. What do you do with it now?
So once you get the lead magnet out, once people express interest in it,
let's pause right there for a second. Not even expressed interest in it. How do you get it in front of them?
So it depends. What we do for our we have an ebook that we're sending out. What we like to do is we just have a landing page. We give them the link if they're interested. And we have a sort of a weird way of getting people. Kind of depends on the platform. But we'll send them the link. It sends them to a landing page. It just says to download it, goes to their email, and it's sort of automatic. So once they put their email in, it automatically goes to our CRM, our database. Mm-hmm. And that's how we do it with that specific lead magnet. Some people use landing pages, and I think they're good. I think they're nice. I have seen some people on social media, for example, they will just, a good one, I see it a lot on Facebook groups, actually. They'll say, I'm making this up on the spot, right. If you're interested in writing a book in 10 days or less, drop your email in the comments below. And people will just drop their comment, and the guy will reply, I DM'd you. So I'm assuming that they put their email in, and he just sends the PDF through Facebook Messenger. So, there's probably tons of creative ways.
You have to automate that using some little simple scripts, little simple simple little apps you can put where when somebody comments a certain thing, it'll actually send what you base on.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that, in other words, you don't have to sit there and hand out. You're not standing on the street corner handing out lead magnets. You're putting it out there somewhere where people are already hanging out and saying, if you're interested in this, give us your email address. It's a value exchange.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you use the physical book, but I'm assuming now you're using the digital book for it.
Yes, yeah. Now it's a digital book.
Real estate. I was going to say, you include it on your website, you put it on your social media. Do you put it on your email tag on your email as well?
So on social media, what I like to do, and it's worked well so far, I like to sporadically in my stories offer the lead magnet, sort of give like a little tiny mini pitch and just say, if you're interested, DM me the word book, right, and I'll send it to you. And then for me, it lets me it's essentially an opt-in. It's essentially an opt-in. They see it, they're like, oh, you know what, I'm interested. They send me there, they say, I'm interested. And I physically send it to them. And I like to do it that way. I don't like to automate that, for me at least, just because it lets me communicate with them. And likely they'll get it. They'll probably ask a question. It kind of lets me go back and forth, and it's not, I think bots have their use a lot in some situations. For this, I want it to be more personal. And that's just Instagram. Some cases I will use bots because otherwise it's too time consuming and it's not worth it.
Right. And it's understanding how they work. You have to understand your customers. Not all customers will respond on bots, and other people, that's all they want to do is respond. They don't want to talk to a real person at all.
Yeah. I know we don't do it now. But I've seen some businesses use on Facebook Messenger. They'll use, I think it's I feel like I'm going to mess it up because I'm going to say ManyChat, yes. Mm-hmm. And so they do have automated bots that answer questions and give the lead magnet. But sometimes if people get weirded out and they're like, is this really you? This is good for personal brands a lot. They're like, is this really you? The person can just hop in and say, yes, it is me. Or like respond in a way that people know, okay, this is, at the very least, it's a real dude watching. It's not just a bot automating everything. And, you know, they like to make it personal in some way. So
I've seen people, they use that as a marketing tool too. They'll take the chat saying, hey, this is my automated response. It's automated to get it to you even quicker. So they take that automation, they sell the automation, they take away that scariness of it. I mean, ultimately, think about it. If you're out there having to hand out your lead magnets one at a time, that's going to take you forever. But if you can do 1,000 at a time, that's worth it for your time because ultimately your returns are going to be better on your investment. So lead magnets are hugely important, especially in today's world with everybody being online here in 2020 and all that kind of stuff. So you get a lead magnet, you send them into your CRM. You said you use Zoho in your CRM. What's that first connection? Do you have an automatic response that says, hey, I'll give you a call in a couple of days? What's that look like for you in your process?
So for us, once they get the book, of course, it's in an email. I have a video attached to it, and it just says, thank you. It's a personal video of me, actually right in front of that poster back there. Intentionally done with the phone in that way. It just says thank you. It's kind of that first contact. I like to have a face. I like it to be something direct and not just text. And that's not to say it doesn't work. I just personally like videos a lot. And then afterwards, after a few days, it'll sort of send a message and say, you know, thank you again for reaching out to us. If you need A, B, and C, we're providing value in A, B, and C way. And then from there, it goes into a email campaign where we're just giving value. And they're usually just main things, either that we find interesting in marketing that businesses might not know about, or very specific things like why people's Facebook ads might not be working the way they should be, because maybe people aren't split testing. A lot of businesses sometimes just put out one ad and nothing happens. It's like, well, split test. But emails like that we send out, and at the bottom of each one is a call to action that kind of goes into a separate process, a separate sales process, we'll call it.
I'm going to pause here. We're going to do a glossary for a minute, okay? We've used a lot of words in the marketing world that you and I understand. Let's cover those real quickly for somebody who's like totally new to marketing, like, oh, you guys are just blowing my mind out. No idea. So a landing page is simply a single website with a single purpose to capture an email address so that you can send them something specific. An automation, an email automator or an email automation just means when they put that email address in, something is sent to them automatically. And his purpose, which I think is great, he puts a video in it. Everyone should put a video in it. Why not? They get to hear your voice. They get to see your face. That's huge. You have no idea. That one little tidbit can help you so much. And then you talked about opt-in. Opt-in is just a fancy way of saying there's a form on the website where someone can put their email address. One of the tools that he uses, it's a free tool. I highly suggest it if you have never used any tools for email automation. It's called MailChimp. It's easy to use, and it allows you to take that form and put that on your website, which would be that landing page, or connect into your Facebook page, however you want to do that. Everything. So these are tidbits. We don't want to blow you away. We don't want you to get scared. Let's make it really simple. Let's go back to the beginning. You have something of value you're offering your customers or your clients, a lead magnet, something to draw them in. That's why it's called a lead magnet. Then you have some way to collect their information, some kind of CRM, which means customer relationship management. That's a way of collecting their information and sending information back and forth, their phone number, email address, whatever it is you need for your business. And then email marketing, just a way to keep what we call in our business a top of mind awareness. And email marketing just keeps putting it in front of people. You keep sending out these emails and it's automated. An email autoresponder, that's why it's called autoresponder. It automatically responds. It just keeps you in front of them. So if they don't need your service right now or they're just checking it out, keep yourself in front of them so that by the time they do need a service, they're like, oh yeah, that Lenny guy keeps sending me that information. He's got some really good stuff. I should contact him. He knows what he's talking about. And so it's all about building authority as a business owner. Ultimately, there's millions of people doing the same thing you do. You do real estate, Lenny. Millions of people. So what are you selling? You're selling you. You're selling your face and the information you provide. Anybody can call any real estate agent, but why do they want to call you? Because you're going to add value above and beyond what somebody else is adding. So as a business owner, that's what we want you to understand. Those 3 steps are really simple. If you need help with those things, if you need somebody who just says, hey, I need somebody to hold my hand and go through this whole process, call Lenny. That's what he does. He helps people. If he can't help you or he's really busy, then holler at me because I might be able to help you too. I mean, that's what we do. I told them at the beginning of this is collaboration. I'll tell you right now, if you're listening to this and I don't already know you, call Lenny first. If he's too busy, then you can call me, okay? But that's what he does. But it's important that you understand as a business owner, you've got to be online and you've got to communicate in a way that your audience understands and they have to have something to get from you so you can be in front of them as much as possible. Facebook ads are great, but they don't do you any good if you don't have any way to follow up that person. Facebook ad says, call me. That's not going to do any good. Why would they call you? Why should they call you? Give them that reason. This lead magnet is an opportunity for them to get to know you in a simple, easy, not scary way. So that's kind of my takeaway from that. Any final thoughts on this whole 3-step process, Lenny?
Yeah, I would say one thing, if someone's new and they're watching this, you don't need to make it complicated. And I would say too, the best thing I would recommend is, I think we mentioned this in the previous video, don't worry so much about being perfect. I think at a certain point, you're going to want to tweak your copy to get the most people engaged or put out stuff that's the most interesting, that's adding the most value. But I would say initially, just put it out. And the reason why I think that's a good strategy is because say person A and person B, say person A is brand new, person B might have been doing it for a few years, but he overthinks it, or she. They overthink it. They put out very little to no, say, follow-up emails. Maybe they don't even have a lead magnet because they're thinking about it so much that they're kind of going through that analysis paralysis situation. If you're just putting it out there, you have a better chance of getting someone compared to your competitor who's thinking about it too much and they'll never put out anything. Or by the time they put it out, it's late. If that all makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So in other words, get it out there. Be the first one that they see. If they see you first, I think the study was 80%. They're 80% more likely to come to you if you're the first person they talk.
Yeah.
I think it may be 86, but I'm not going to make up any more figures than I have to. But on the last video, I did tell you I'm going to tell you my #1 tip for email marketing and for creating these lead magnets is create what's called a swipe file. Every time an email gets your attention, create a little folder on your desktop, or you can create it inside your mail system. If you have Gmail, you can just create a folder. And every time it comes in, if it catches your attention, save that in that swipe file. So when you have to come up with an email, you're like, oh, I don't know what to write. Go see what somebody else wrote, see what they wrote, how they wrote it, and why it got your attention, and then create one of those for yourself. Don't just copy it. Don't copy it. Make it your own because it's your branding. You got to be there. All right, Lenny, below here, we're going to have a contact information for you and what you're doing. Do you have something else to say?
I was going to say, too, for anyone watching, we talked about this a little bit prior, but that tip, it sounds really simple, but I never did it until you mentioned it a little bit before the video. And, yeah, if you're watching this, that's definitely something you should be doing. It's good to study other people's copy, what works for them, and reverse engineer it. It saves you time and effort. So
there's nothing wrong with doing your lead magnets. Go see what other people in other cities are doing in your industry. If you're a gym owner, Go see what other gym owner in another city over is doing, another city, another state. They might give you an idea, like you said, that little scratch pad thing. Get your little marker board, draw something on it, take a picture of it. That could be your lead magnet. It could be that simple. And it depends on your business. Like, I think your favorite words is "it depends," Lenny.
Yeah.
It depends. And that's true. It does depend on your business. But in truth, marketing is simple. You got some way to connect to people. You got some way to follow up with people. And you have some way to keep up with them if they don't make a decision with you. That's the 3-step process. Have a lead magnet, a CRM, and email follow-up. All right, Lenny, any final words before we get off here?
Nothing in particular. Besides thank you, of course.
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes. But that's it for me.
Great. Well, go out there and do your lead magnet. If you're on Facebook or some kind of social media, put a link below your lead magnet. Let us look at it. It'd be interesting to see what you come up with. Or you never know. Somebody might give you a good idea of how you could do it better. Or an idea of like, hey, you said this would be so much better. It's a simple thing like that. We're a community. That's what Facebook is supposed to be about. So find us online. You can find us at Optimize Profitability for this podcast. You can find us on dfwtop.com for our website. And you can find Lenny at AffinityAgency.co. And all the links will be on the page right below this video. Have a great day, everyone, and be profitable.